Hello, everyone, and today we're going to be going over our cybersecurity audit of the Midwest Central Bank in Chicago. Our goal was to identify the highest impact risks and recommend practical solutions that align with business and compliance requirements. Let's go ahead and take a look at the big picture here. So this is just a summary of everything we did. The three main risks we got is identity compromise, application vulnerabilities, and delayed patch management. These areas directly increase breach probability and regulatory exposure. We have a roadmap here that we did when we have phase 1, 0 to 90 days, enforce MFA across all critical systems, conduct phishing, training and simulations, validate and test backup recovery. So that's going to be the first 0 to 90 days. Let's take a look at phase 2 here. Deploy EDR and strengthen endpoint protection, implement centralized logging, tighten vendor risks assessments. Then phase 3, 6 to 12 months, network segmentation and zero trust principles, mature incident response program, continuous compliance monitoring. To show how we reached those conclusions, here's how we structured the audit. So we have our scope, core banking applications and legacy infrastructure, identity and access management controls, patch management and vulnerability processes, security monitoring and incident response, third-party vendors, cybersecurity controls, and our regulatory compliance alignments, which are GLBA, PCI DSS, etc. And so we actually did a process flow diagram here. We go from threat modeling to asset and data flow review, control evaluation versus NIST-PCI, risk scoring impact and likelihood, roadmap prioritization. And so with this structure in place, here's the threat environment driving these risks. So we have our primary threat vectors on the left, which would be ransomware and data extortion. What this does, it exploits legacy systems and unpatched vulnerabilities. Then we have phishing and credential theft. So like if you ever get a phishing email, click on it, you give them your password, it leads to the account takeover and privilege escalation. So let's just avoid those fishy emails. Then we have our legacy system vulnerabilities. What a legacy system is, like an old piece of hardware or old piece of hardware, software. It's just old. So unsupported software increases exploitability. So it's just old systems. To update those. We have our third-party vendor risks, external partners, expand attack surface. On the right here, we have the business and regulatory impact of these threat vectors. So we have operational disruption of core banking services, exposure of customer financial data, GLBA and PCI DSS, non-compliance penalties. So our compliance rules here, these are important. And then we have reputational damage and loss of customer trust. Loss of customer trust is a huge one here. If you're running a business and you lose your customers' trust, it's just not going to go too well. So anyone who owns a business or runs a business, you know you need your customers' trust here. Customer trust is the biggest thing. And so all these attacks, they just affect this. And like losing this, you lose your business. So it's really important to have secure systems. And finally, like we got regulatory reporting and allegation layers. Like we need updated compliance. We don't want to get penalized for that. That's really important. We don't want to lose our customers' financial data. That would be terrible. That leads to the loss of customer trust. And just like this, any of these impacts, they shut down a business for weeks because they don't know how to respond. It's just important to stay up to date on your security here. So moving on, let's take a look here at our risk assessment, impact versus likelihood. So just to start off with a low likelihood, high impact, insider data exfiltration. This doesn't happen often. This is kind of like based on who you hire as your employees. I doubt that any companies really this happens too much, but if it does, it's a really high impact, but not too much is this happening. Like companies' employees are usually trustworthy. They're not going to go leak all their data and all this. It doesn't happen too much. Let's look at some of the medium likelihood stuff that happens here. Patch management delays, that's going to happen a lot actually, but medium impact, it's not the end of the world. Third-party vendor compromise, this is a big impact here. You don't want this to happen. Well, let's look at the high likelihood, high impact ransomware. We all know what ransomware on this legacy old systems, like These old systems can't handle it, and it's huge impact on it. So that's a big one to avoid. Weak MFA, this is a big one. So you need multi-factor authentication here. If you don't have this, like, you can get messed up, your whole account gone because you clicked on a phishing email here with the phishing campaigns. This could lead into high impact, but our phishing campaigns we put it in the medium impacts. Like, you got to know what to click on and what not to click on in your email box. So that's kind of the big thing here. But if this does happen, it's a medium impact. They do send a lot of these, so you just got to be aware. You got to know what you're looking for in the emails. Then high likelihood, low impact is low level malware, spam events. Like, these happen all the time, but this is low level malware, so it's not as bad as ransomware over here. But and spam emails, like, it's not gonna do too much, but it's still important to keep an eye out, and it happens all the time. So we're gonna go ahead and look at all of our risks here. So we have risk number one, identity compromise, weak MFA, and privileged access controls. So we just talked about having a weak MFA, and it can lead to a lot of account takeover that goes to lateral movement, that goes to ransomware. So this compliance messes up with the GLBA safeguards rule. So it's just important to have MFA, have a strong MFA. And number two, our application exploit, unpatched application dash input validation gaps, data extraction, SQL injection. That's the big one. It's the SQL injections. We're going to take a look at this in a second, our demos you're going to see. But the compliance impact of this is PCI DSS 4.0, secure development and vulnerability management. And then our third one we got here is vulnerability exposure, delayed patch management. We're going to take a look at this and monitoring gaps, business risk, increased ransomware exploitability, and compliance impact would be NIST, CSF, detect and protect. All right, let's go and look at our first demo here. So we have, it's an MFA demo I did. Let's just take a look at it.
Hello everyone, in today's demo we're going to be looking at differences between no MFA and MFA. So in this first one we make a random account here, use Kpmg for the scenario that we're in right now, but we look at it and there is no MFA, so we're just able to get right on in. And then in this next scenario we're going to look at here, this is my personal AWS account. I have MFA enabled. When I try and sign in, it asks for MFA, and if I don't give it to it, I can't get in. Hello, everyone.
All right, so looking at that there, we see how how this happens is through the phishing stuff that occurs. You give your password away, and the hacker gets your password. And if you don't have a strong MFA, they can just get in your account and take over. So you need an MFA to be able to protect this. Let's look at our next demo. Here. All right, let's go ahead and play it.
Hello, and welcome to this second demo that I did. So here we're looking at this demo application. It's a fake website or whatever. We're looking at all the products here, and I'm going to go to the accessories tab and just see the accessories. So here you have, we just see the accessories. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this code up top. You see the accessories code? I'm going to change it here. And what this is doing is it's taking my input and directly inserting it into the database. You're going to see, look, now we see every single accessory. So in a banking environment, something like this could expose customer data. So in simple terms here, the app needs to separate what users type from the actual database command, so it can't be manipulated. So we can't be manipulating databases.
So basically what this is here is an example of SQL injection. And we have on the left the ways you can control this, parameterized queries, input validation, secure coding practices, web application firewalls. And this is just an example of an SQL injection. This happens a lot, so you need to be aware of this. Let's go to our next demo here. which is vulnerability exposure demo. So let's take a look at this.
All right, so this is my last demo, sadly. I know I wish we could do this all day, but for this one, I'm going to show you how exposed some of our stuff and unpatched systems really are. And so look, we type a sample system in here and all these bad things pop up. It's flagging missing security controls and everything. This might not seem like that big, but over time, unpatched or misconfigured systems, they can be targeted by these hackers. So attackers will scan for these and they'll find what's wrong. And if like patching is delayed or it's not centralized, these weaknesses can sit here and they're exposed. So the fix is to have a structured patching process, automated vulnerability scanning, and real-time monitoring so issues get identified and resolved.
All right, reinforcing what I just said here, we need to patch the SLAs, automated vulnerability scanning, just to make sure we're looking and seeing what's wrong. And centralized logging can help out here too. So this is just a big thing. We got to scan and look at what we're dealing with here, and we need to patch our SLAs. So I just want to
All
move
right.
into our conclusion here. Our final call to action, I'm going to read this statement out loud for y'all, is proactive cybersecurity investment today prevents operational disruption, regulatory penalties, and reputational damage tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. We have our takeaways here, just the main points. So I hope y'all realize that cybersecurity is important and how we need to implement it into this Midwest Central Bank scenario here. We need to get rid of these legacy systems. And overall, just thank you guys for our time. Here's our references if you want to take a look. And thank you guys for your time.